Hello and welcome to another episode of the Opus Well Style Podcast. I'm going to be your host today, Ivan Watanabe. Nice to see everybody. Tracy, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you.
You too, man. You too. Well, we're super excited to have on Tracy Gapin from the Gapin Institute to come on and talk a little bit about his practice, what he's doing to kind of revolutionize a lot of the medical industry, change the landscape a little bit. You know, post our conversation, I was very, very excited to have you kind of come on and share a little bit more about what you're up to. And, why don't we just start there, Tracy? Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about the practice, and we'll kind of dive in.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. So I am what I like to say a recovering urologist. So I was a board certified urologist for over 25 years, actually. Ran a very busy surgical practice, doing robotic surgery, treating prostate cancer, high volume clinic. I was a partner with 4 other guys in my group, and running around with my head cut off every day from the hospital to the clinic to the surgery center. And I hit a wall. About halfway through my career, I hit a wall where I was burned out. It was really a moral issue, a moral decay, where I wasn't just burned out, tired, exhausted. I was just mentally and emotionally done with my practice, done with life, done with the system, the broken healthcare system that we had. And it was affecting me personally, where I wake up one day and I'm 30 pounds overweight. And wow. I'm stressed out, and I can't think clearly, and I'm an angry, bitter man, and I'm not sleeping well. I'm not taking care of myself. You know, here I am, this men's health expert in air quotes, and yet I'm neglecting my own health for the sake of my patients and my career. And I hit this wall, and I finally went to see a doctor because of it. It got so bad that my wife convinced me to see a doctor, and we have a family on the way. And so for me, being a dad is really what it's all about for me. And so I knew I had to kind of get things turned around. And so I go to see a local concierge doctor here in Sarasota, Florida. And that was really a pivotal moment for me in my personal life, in my professional life, in everything, because he had no answers for me other than I probably just need to be on a statin. Like, that was it. He shows me these terrifying lab numbers that I thought I was fine, like any other guy who I now, take care of. We tend to think we're invincible, we're infallible, and I'm fine. But my labs were a mess. But the only answer he had for me really was that I probably just need to be on a statin. I just need to go lose some weight, and no real answers. And so here I am, and I had to very humbly acknowledge that I'm the men's health expert, and I didn't have the answers either for my own self. And so that's what really triggered my journey into this whole world of longevity, which that's become a buzzword. But what it really is it's functional medicine, it's hormones, it's peptides, it's optimization, it's epigenetics, which is really the science of how our lifestyle affects the way our bodies work. It's understanding how to use wearable technology and how to leverage all these advanced tests that we now have available to really identify what's wrong. And when I put all this stuff together, this newfound knowledge together, I was able to really turn my health around. And I'll tell you what, Yvonne, it lit a fire in me. I suddenly had a passion again for medicine and a passion for helping people in a very different way. Yeah. And so that was really the beginning of the end for me with traditional medicine, where, fast forward 7 years later, after years of iterating and going through business masterminds and courses and investing $1 million in personal development and learning how to be an entrepreneur, I told my partners I'm leaving.
Wow.
And they all thought I was batshit crazy, of course. They thought I was nuts to be leaving, a very lucrative surgical practice to do this. What are you doing? Optimization, longevity, what? And now, of course, they're asking me, how do you do what you've done? How do you make that transition? But I'll tell you, it was the best move of my life. It was one that I only regret waiting so long to do so. And it was all out of fear and, can I make it? How can I survive? How can I, make the transition? But now, Yvonne, I can truly, honestly tell you, I wake up every day and I freaking love what I do. And it's such a great thing to be able to love what you do and have a real impact. And I only wish I'd done it sooner.
Yeah, it's interesting because the medical industry, and my wife's an anesthesiologist, so I really appreciate medicine and all the physicians out there and the healthcare professionals that help us. And I think a lot of it has to do with sort of treating the symptoms, right? But not necessarily sort of getting ahead of it. How do I optimize? How do I take advantage of technology, the way it's evolved, the way it's changed, the information, the data, being able to kind of understand and I think part of the reason why I was excited to have you on is to learn a little bit more about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and find out, what are the different tests that you recommend people get that they're not necessarily having access to, or don't even know to get, and what's the information being used for, and how do you tailor that? Because, again, it seems like, sort of relating it to the financial services industry, people are sort of treating their issues with a particular product, not necessarily looking at their health or their financial situation from a holistic point of view, right? Like all these different components. What am I eating? What am I drinking? How much, how much do my genetics have to play in sort of the decision-making process? And, up until now, you're kind of piecing it together on your own.
Yeah.
You have no idea if you're even doing things the right way, taking supplements. So you don't know if they're appropriate, not appropriate. They're counteracting these other things that you're doing. Is it appropriate for me? Like, it's impossible to tailor all this stuff together, or up until now.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I really see this shift in healthcare where our old school mentality of treating disease and illness and symptoms, that's not going to go away, because when you have a kidney stone, when you have a heart attack, when you're in a motor vehicle accident, you need that acute treatment. You need that the urgent treatment system that we have. What it doesn't do, you're exactly right. This whole concept of optimization. How can I prevent a problem before it occurs? Mm-hmm. How can I get my mind and body functioning at the highest level so that I do all the right things I need to do, so that I don't end up developing high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, other actual diagnosis codes that our healthcare system is based on. So you're exactly right. And the second point I'll make is I love what you just said. It really comes down to individualization, and everyone's different. And I've created a buzzword, a buzz phrase, if you will, and that is one size fails all instead of one size fits all, because what's right for you is going to be wrong for the next guy. And based on your biology, based on your genetics, based on where you are, impacts what's right for you and what's going to be the best answer. And the perfect example of this is nutrition. I hear the common question every day: what should I eat? And if you go on IG or Reddit or Twitter, you're going to have all kinds of influencers and biohackers telling you what you should do, what they think you should do, which is not necessarily right based on your biology. So, keto diet, paleo, carnivore may be the wrong diet for your body. How do you know without testing? And so that's where it really comes down to the advanced diagnostics. And that's where we're evolving very quickly now to how do we leverage the testing to understand what we need, what our bodies need, and then create a plan that's really designed around that, rather than just the generic recommendations that you hear everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's how could you possibly know without getting the test done, right? It's sort of, again, it's I sort of relate it to what it is that we do as a profession. People are constantly trying to give each other advice, or I get people sending me things from Instagram or Reddit or wherever, and they're like, "Hey, this is great. This is terrible. This is the way. This is what I should be investing." It's like, but you have no context. You have no idea if that fits into the scope of what you actually want to accomplish.
Right.
Because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it works for you. You could go online right now and find a million different things that tell you that avocados are awful, and a million different things that tell you that avocados are like the greatest thing that's ever been invented ever. Like the spectrum is so wide on this type of thing. It's like, well, how do we get to understanding if it's right for us?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like the practice and how you take people through it, and what's the from the testing to the diagnosis. Walk us through that.
Sure. So I've developed my peak launch program through years and years of iteration and taking all my background knowledge and really putting together an amazing team. So, and this really relates to everything we know about, building a business is to build a team, and it's who, not how. How can you find the experts to really help you get there quicker?
Shout out to Strategic Coach, by the way, for
there you go.
for all that great knowledge.
Right. Yeah, and the analogy of who, not how, from Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, I apply to health as well, and that is that there's not one person who's going to be the absolute expert when it comes to hormones and peptides and nutrition and fitness and sleep science and wearables and genetics and data and all these amazing tools and tests that we have. And so what I've done is put together an integrated team all under one roof that can help you get there. And so my peak launch system is really based around, it's 3 steps. It's test, design, and track. So test is really, I say find your blind spots. And so what I mean by that is, and we'll get into some of the testing if you like, there's blood testing, which is way beyond what your doctor will typically order. And there's some companies out there doing like Function Health, doing some of the testing, but there's so much more that you can do beyond that as well. But it's a good start. That's definitely a beginning to start to find your blind spots. Genetics. Your personalized genetics. And I don't mean the 23andMe entertainment nonsense. I'm talking about like genetics that tell you what you should and shouldn't eat. What supplements you respond best to? How do you clear toxins better? What workout would be right for you? How do you recover better? What hormones are right for you? How do you sleep better? All these amazing insights from your genetics. Functional testing. Man, I'll tell you, your gut, I didn't recognize this through my entire career in traditional medicine as a urologist. Your gut drives everything. Your gut drives hormones and energy and metabolism, neurotransmitters in your brain, your immune system. It drives longevity. It's actually one of the key hallmarks of aging now is your gut.
Oh, interesting.
Testing the gut, testing cortisol or stress hormone. Most of us fail to acknowledge that we're stressed, and I don't just mean psychological, but our system is stressed, and you can measure that with things like cortisol. A lot of imaging you do around cardiovascular health, like a calcium score or a clearly heart scan, and all these tests put together give you this very clear understanding now of your system, of what's working and what's not working and what really needs to be refined. But more importantly, how? How do we fix those rather than the generic recommendations? The design part is where I built an amazing team. So I have medical providers who are experts around longevity and hormones and supplementation. And then I have functional medicine trained coaches. And this is what I really believe is the magic of how we get such great results is your doctor can only do so much. But when you can integrate them with a functional medicine trained health coach, meaning they could look at your gut testing and your food sensitivity testing and your organic acids and markers of metabolism, pair that with your genetics, pair with you and your personal preferences and goals, and put together a unique specific plan for you, that's where you can really enact real change. And so it's the I like to say it's the marriage of the medical precision and the functional wisdom together that really gets the results. And then the third step is track. How do you know that what you're doing is actually working? How do you know that you're getting the results that you want rather than just I feel good or I don't feel good? So I'm a big believer in using wearable technology, tracking things like sleep and tracking things like heart rate variability or HRV. It's a surrogate for your system's stress levels. Tracking blood sugar, not just for diabetics, but for everyone. So many of the listeners probably are killing themselves in the gym, but yet they're not burning fat, they're not building muscle, and they don't know why. And a lot of it may actually be because of blood sugar. It may be because of stress without you even realizing it. Maybe because of poor sleep. So these data points, these metrics help us really track results and track outcome data to know if what you're doing is working or not. And it's a continuous cycle of optimization. It's test, fix, repeat. How can I be even better? So that's my system. My peak launch system is really putting all these pieces together in a very integrated manner, all in a nice, sexy concierge wrapping and a nice app, client-facing app and all that for user experience. But it comes down to the fundamentals are really test, design, and track with an integrated team that really brings all the experts together.
Yeah. And what particular wearables are you liking? I haven't done a ton of research. I've been using a Whoop for a while because it's funny. Like I got the Whoop before COVID. And this kind of have a segue conversation on this too, but I got the Whoop before COVID, and then during COVID, I started freaking out at like the changes daily because I was like, am I sick? Am I not sick? Am I okay? I had to like get rid of it because the data was too much for me at that particular time to like, it was driving more stress to have it than not have it. So I got rid of it for a while, and then, since COVID, I like it, and it's back sort of as part of my routine. But I'm curious, like what technologies are you recommending and wearable wise, and for what reason? And
love the question. So I would first say there's nuance around what you just said that a lot of our clients will immediately have overwhelm when I just say the word wearable. That it becomes too much to handle, overwhelming, paralysis by analysis sort of thing where too much data can be a bad thing. And so we want to first meet you where you are. And a lot of clients, we don't necessarily start with wearables because it could be overwhelming in the beginning. Once we get moving along, we'll integrate one at a time and kind of see how they respond and if they're amenable to it. I'm a geek. I'm a tech nerd. I love all the data points. I love to track metrics. I love spreadsheets. I love to, give me everything you got kind of guy. But some clients can only handle one thing at a time, and that's fine. And so I want to first preface it by that's the nuance of if anyone's overwhelmed, we don't use it.
Got it.
Other things that we can do, just follow-up testing. And, one of the things I like, for example, body composition testing. So a lot of people will check their weight, and every day they're stressing about the fact that they gained a pound, or, I lost a pound, or, oh, my God, I gained 2 pounds back again. What the, Get off the scale, first of all. You shouldn't be really doing that more than maybe once a week or so. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, we want to look at long-term trends, and we want to look at not your weight. Your weight doesn't matter. Based on your fluid status, you may have had extra salt one day, which makes you retain fluid. Bowel movements can affect your weight as well. And so we don't care about weight so much as lean muscle mass and body fat, visceral fat, body fat percent. Those are the metrics that matter that we can track over time. So we'll see clients where they may only lose 2 pounds, but they've gained 6 pounds of muscle and they've lost 8 pounds of fat, and it can be very deceiving. So that's where the kind of metrics can really help you understand that. So I love to use body composition data just to get people to recognize that they are seeing results. There is some momentum building, even though you may not see it on that actual number of the weight on the scale. Right?
Got it. And is that a particular scale that you're recommending people buy, or is it something that they have to go in person to go get that level of testing?
So there are a bunch of ways of doing that. So the gold standard is a DEXA scan, DEXA scan, and those are it's time out of your day to go there. You got to go to an imaging center to get it done. And I rarely use DEXA simply for convenience sake. It's annoying, it's a pain in the ass, and there are better ways of getting there. So in our office, we have an in-body device, which is use bioimpedance. So it sends like an electrical signal through your body to measure those metrics that I just mentioned. But even most of our clients, I'd say 80% of our clients are around the country. They're not here locally. They're in Washington State and New York and Idaho and Wisconsin. And so an in-body is not practical in those situations. And so we use home scales. We use home devices, and I'll tell you what, they've gotten pretty cheap now, Vaughn. You can go on Amazon, and Renpho is a brand that I actually support. I like them, RENPHO, and they're like $30. You can get a great body composition scale for $30. Now, Withings is another great brand I like. For like $150, you can get an awesome body comp scale that has a lot more features, a lot more bells and whistles to it. But for those of you starting out, just get a Renpho. It's super cheap, and most of these devices have what's called API, which means it can connect to other apps where you can track that data. And so I would not get caught up on the brand. Start with something cheap and easy like Renpho and just get going and start to track your metrics over time, not days at a time, but weeks at a time.
Got it.
So start with that. Sleep. So there are not a lot of great devices for sleep in general. The rings tend to be the best, and I typically will always use Oura for that, O-U-R-A. And there are other rings out there. Now Ultrahuman has one. Bond has a great one coming out in December. I've already pre-ordered that one. That'll be pretty cool. So there are a lot of great rings that you can use, and they're tracking your sleep stages. So it's not just enough. Like your Apple Watch may track your total sleep, but that doesn't really tell the whole picture. And the stages of sleep that you care about, even Apple's not very good at it. Things like Whoop isn't good at stages. I used to use Garmin. It's not good for stages either because it will move from your wrist throughout the night. Mm-hmm. And just that little bit of space between the sensor and your wrist can really impact the metrics. And so in general, rings tend to be better, but they're still not 100%. So if the Oura tells you like deep sleep, like we want to be looking specifically, one metric that all of you can be looking at is your deep sleep. And you'd want about an hour of deep sleep every night. So I have a client who he came in, I have an image of this where his data showed that he slept 7 hours and 11 minutes that night, which sounds pretty good, right? His deep sleep was 9 minutes. That's when you wake up and you feel like crap and you don't know why.
Yeah.
And the only way you would know that is if you're actually measuring it. So great example, you may sleep 7 hours, still feel crummy because you didn't get the restorative stages. So you want 1 hour deep sleep and 2 hours of REM sleep. Those are the key kind of stages that we want to be looking at. And so the Oura is a great way to track that. Now, if the Oura tells you that you got 50 minutes of deep sleep, you may have actually gotten 60 or 42 or 53. Mm-hmm. That's fine. That's not the accuracy we need. But when it's 9 minutes, you know you're way off.
Yeah. Right? And the idea is to sort of track the trends, right? So like, are we sort of in the general sense of where you're trying to be, and can we or you're way off?
You're exactly right. Yeah. And you'll see, for example, like if you drink alcohol, like you have a couple drinks a night, you'll see that your sleep is crushed. You may sleep 8 hours, but your stages are destroyed. You have all light sleep, which is relatively not helpful. You lose out in deep sleep. It hits your REM as well. And so the only way to recognize that is to track it and like you said, look for trends over time. Exactly. The other one that is really helpful to look for trends is HRV. So HRV is heart rate variability. And there's another metric that you can get from your Aura, you can get from Whoop or Garmin or Apple or any of these devices that you're wearing throughout the day. The problem with HRV is when you get 24/7 HRV data, it actually becomes more noise than signal. So what I mean by that is there's so much variable occurrences throughout your day. You're working out 1 minute, you're sleeping the next minute, you're stressed out about work, or you're out for a run with your kids after work, or life happens. That data is not helpful. What you want to be looking at is one snapshot in time every single day that you can compare apples to apples to make sense of it. And look for trends. So what I like to recommend for HRV, heart rate variability, which is a surrogate for stress. So I want to be clear, why do we care about this? It actually measures your internal stress levels. So a high HRV is good. High HRV means you're rested, you're recovered, you're in an optimized state. Your system is very dynamic. It's able to quickly adapt and respond to the environment. And so a high HRV is very good. A low HRV means your body is stressed. Your system is not adaptive and dynamic. It's in a stressed, reactive, ill, unhealthy state. So, for example, when you haven't slept, when you've had alcohol, when you're traveling, when you're sick, COVID, those will all crush your HRV. Your HRV will plummet when those sorts of things happen, when you have stress to your system.
You know what's funny is, so I've been looking at the HRV for a while because mine ranges relatively the same, but it's low always.
Yeah.
So my HRV, I think my average is like 28.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm a pretty healthy, I'm going hard in the gym 5-6 days a week, eat pretty clean, not drinking a ton, sleep okay. I mean, I got 2 little kids, right? I've got a 1.5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old, so we're not sleeping tremendously. But that is the one metric where it scares me because it is crazy low compared to what you just mentioned. Most people, especially somebody in my sort of fitness range, it's not even close.
Sure.
It's not even close.
Yeah. So what I like to say about HRV is you can't compare your number to someone else's. It doesn't really work that way. It's meant to be really more, just like you said, to look at trends. And so yours may be 28 over time. Yours is probably lower than a lot of other people because, dude, you're an entrepreneur. You're now a dad. You're not sleeping well. You're running a podcast. You're running a business. Like you have a very a high performer life right now, and so you may not have as high an HRV as someone else who's in a very different life experience. So that's okay. But what you want to see over the long term is a gradual improvement in your HRV over time. When you see a big spike where it goes up, it will often immediately follow by a plummet. So when someone says, "Oh, my HRV jumped up today," wait a day and you'll be like, "Oh crap, something's wrong." So it's not a good thing.
That's exactly what happened. It's normally at like 27. I think I woke up this morning. I slept pretty well last night. It's at like 38 today. It's like, it's telling me I'm feeling great, and I have a workout, and then guaranteed tomorrow it'll be drop back down.
It'll be like 20 tomorrow. Yeah, very common.
Yeah.
So we can look at HRV. So the way I like to do it, and to answer your initial question, what do I like to use? There are a couple straps out there. It's a chest strap. You put it on in the morning. So Morpheus is a great one that I love that I use now. Morpheus. It's about $100 or so. I used the Polar strap, the H10 strap for a long time before that. They're both good. I like Morpheus specifically because it has an actual app on the phone that it syncs with, and it's super user-friendly, very easy to use. So the native app for it is great. If you use the Polar H10 strap, a lot of guys use it for fitness performance stuff as well. You can use it for this purpose as well, but you can't use the Polar app. You have to use the Elite HRV app, sync it with that on your phone, and that will give you the readings we're talking about here. So there's a little bit of nuance there. But nonetheless, what I recommend is when you first wake up, let's say it's 6 in the morning, every day wake up at the exact same time, you're going to sit on the couch, put the strap on, and you're going to do your 2.5-minute scan. And that's going to be in a very rested state, in the same conditions every day. Now you can actually compare apples to apples to apples, and it makes sense. If you're measuring it throughout the whole day, there's so much noise going on that you can't really, it's apples to oranges comparison sort of thing.
Got it.
So that's how HRV is best done to track over time. And you'll see if you lose sleep one night, if you have, time change from travel, or if you've had alcohol or crappy food or you're sick, you'll see dramatic changes in your HRV, and it'll make sense now that those are stressors to your system. And as you're gradually able to remove the system overload, I call it, in your life, in your environment, you'll tend to see a gradual improvement in HRV over time.
Love it.
Yeah.
I want to pivot the conversation a little bit to sort of, we have a large physician population that listens to the podcast. So I want to kind of shift a little bit to talk about the coaching program that you're offering and that you have for physicians, and sort of like, where did it come from? Tell us a little bit more about it, and sort of the big why, because I think that really got me, sort of why do this, and what kind of impact you're making in the industry based on it.
I appreciate it. So, when I made the transition, I mentioned that was back in 2020. After years of planning, preparing, educating, I kept feeling like I wasn't ready. And then finally I did. I was like, what the hell was I waiting for? Why did I wait so long? I knew when I made that transition, I knew in the back of my mind what would really bring me joy and bring me excitement and feel like I'm making a real impact is making this transition myself, but training other doctors how to do it also. And that's how, what I think of it as a movement. Transforming healthcare and changing the way we approach our health, and being more proactive and being more personalized, and using data and diagnostics and putting a team together, and this whole new approach. I realized that I could only, I could barely scratch the surface myself and my team, but when I can start to bring in other doctors as well and make a real movement out of it, that's how I can have a bigger impact. And so I planned that in the back of my mind. And finally, earlier this year, it was actually a coach that helped me. I was actually in the airport in Chicago. You and I, we met, was in January.
Yeah.
It was like 5 a.m. The next morning, I'm waiting at O'Hare Airport to fly out, and I'm going through all the iterations and business stuff in my mind, and what I really want to accomplish in my life and have an impact. And it hit me there. I'm like, what the F am I waiting for? When am I going to finally say I'm successful? Like, we're going to clear 5 million gross revenue this year. Full transparency here. Like, we've gone from 0 to 5 million in 3.5 years, and we're growing fast. I'm like, when have I finally been able? When can I finally claim success? When have I finally reached the point that I can? And so, literally, Yvonne, it was at that point in the airport. I'm like, I'm just going to freaking do this. And so, I went on a Facebook group that I'm in, a doctor group, and I said, hey guys, I'm interested in helping any doctors out there who want to make the transition I made, who want to learn how I did it. I'm happy to jump on a webinar. I'm gonna do a pilot program of 3 weekly calls, and I'm just gonna share what I've done. And I had 40 doctors immediately, like within a couple hours, say yes, I'm in. So I ran a pilot program, and that really just was proof of concept for me that there's a real need out there. And the more I talk to other doctors, I recognize that there's a need and a real demand for this. Yeah. So long story short, I've launched Peak Launch is my program I mentioned. Peak Launch System is our method. Yep. Peak Launch MD is my program now I've now built to train other doctors. How do you do what I've done? So many other doctors think I'm stuck in this broken system. I'm burned out. I have this loss of identity now, who I am, and I have no idea how to get out. I feel trapped. I feel stuck. And you see these influencers and biohackers making all this money and having an impact, and they have no credentials behind their name.
Sure.
They don't know. They just read some blog and think they're the expert now. And so doctors who've been doing this for 20, 25, 30 years, like, you guys, you're the experts, and you need to shine now. You need to take that expertise and leverage it. And so I took my men's health background. Like, men's health was my jam. Like, prostate cancer and testosterone and sexual health, the ED, and men's health was my specialty, my expertise. And what did I do? I used that as a stepping stone. And I started with that. And I built a program around that. Now we serve men and women, and we're treating young and old. But it started with men's health. And I was able to build everything I built from that and leverage my expertise while understanding how do I serve my avatar, my clients, even better.
Yeah.
So long story short.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. So Peak Launch MD, I have a founder's program, which is a 16-week modular course, which is how do I build a business that I love? How do I build a life that I love? How do I get out of this broken system and really go into this world of longevity and optimization? And I go through the mindset work first, because a lot of the issues we have are around mindset and clarity and focus. And then it's the actual business structure and model. How do I build a team? How do I build a practice? How do I build the offer? I go through some clinical training, although most doctors don't need or want that part of it. And there's a lot of other places you can get the clinical training, but I go through some of that. And then the sales and marketing part of it, and how do you put it all together? And so that's what I built. And then the real magic behind it is my license. So what I mean by that is the Peak Launch license now enables other doctors to move fast and run my program that I was just describing for you, run it from their existing practice.
Oh, interesting. Very
What
cool.
I did was in my urology practice, I was actually selling this on the side. I was like treating Medicare patients in one room, and then the other exam room, I had it wasn't called Peak Launch back then, but I had a cash-based client in the other room. And so I take them through how do you build that so you don't have to quickly jump off the ledge without having a support structure, a safety net in place. And so that's really what I built. So, dude, that's what lights me up. That's what really gets me excited about transforming healthcare, not through my own practice, but through training other doctors how to do what I've done.
I love it. I mean, because, it's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, like functional medicine. I'm sure there's some out there, but I'm not aware of them. And I work with a number of different physicians across the country. I'm not familiar with any residency programs that are specific in functional medicine, right? Like maybe there are a couple out there, but in general, I'm not aware of them. And I think the industry in general is going towards this, again, the demand, I should say, is going towards this, how to go to one person, one physician to help me navigate all of these different moving pieces so that I can get healthier and stay healthy and be around for the long time. Because my nightmare and the things that we talk to our clients about is like the medical system right now is great at keeping you alive longer, not necessarily keeping you healthier and alive longer.
Exactly right.
Right? And so the extension of life is, for me personally, my belief on this is the extension of life here is not super valuable if I'm unhealthy and miserable. Right, I'd rather it not be extended if that were the alternative, right? So, I just find there to be such a huge need in this space. I'm super excited that you're building out this coaching program and kind of doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it, and you're spot on. Almost anyone I talk to, it's not a desire to live to be 150 years old, like Brian Johnson and some of these people who are really on the edge. It's I want to enjoy my life now. I want to have the energy and the strength and the focus and the ability to play with my kids and go out and crush it on the pickleball court and blow up my business and lead my team and be a role model in the community and like be at my absolute peak today.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's really the big focus. You're exactly right. And so it's energy, focus, it's drive. And this goes into a lot of what I'm now teaching is what I've learned is the business side of it. It's the messaging around that kind of stuff. You can't just sell longevity. No one wants longevity. What does that even mean? No one wants that. And so it's being really clear about, what the actual transformation is. But you're exactly right. Things are changing. And, back to the functional medicine training, there are programs out there that anyone can go to and get trained in functional medicine. You'll see the word functional medicine practitioner in air quotes everywhere now. And these people have no background, no medical training. They simply took a course for 14, 16 months in functional medicine, and now they're a practitioner, and they're out there building businesses that are crushing you.
Yeah.
And so doctors really need to step up, and with your background, take your incredible knowledge base and wisdom that you've spent decades building, layer on top all this cutting-edge stuff. But I want to also be clear, I don't know it all. I don't know everything about functional medicine and longevity and optimization and it's changing every day. It's evolving every day. But what I've done is I built a team around me of experts that are continually to up-level their knowledge base, and that's how you can win so you don't have to do it all yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I mean, again, I think in part of it, the business side of it is, the constant complaint I get from physicians, like, they don't teach us this in med school.
Right.
Like, they don't teach us how to run an organization. They don't teach us how to understand insurance. They don't teach us how to understand, running a business, finding new patients. They just, they don't teach any of that.
That's
and
right.
so, I think having that be part of the program makes a ton of sense because you can have the clinical knowledge, but if you don't know how to scale it, you don't know how to build it, like, becomes petrifying to actually leave your current situation in order for you to set this thing up and actually have success and kind of carry it through. So I love the model and I love the idea.
Thanks so much.
Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and to drive the point home around building a team and building a business, I'll let you in on a little secret, and that is that the business that I told you, we're doing quite well financially. I see 2 patients.
Yeah.
I have 2
Wow.
VIP clients, and they each pay me $45K a year to see me, which is, by some comparisons, is low. PRT is like $150K, but whatever. But I've intentionally priced that where it is so that I don't want people seeing me. I want them seeing my team. And we built that entire business with me literally seeing 2 patients right now. And so it can be done. You can build a team around you and leverage your expertise and not have to do it all yourself.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been super valuable. I appreciate you sharing all these ideas. I mean, I took a bunch of notes. I'll be out there buying some of this technology and reaching out soon. For the listening audience, whether you're a physician, looking to find out more about, how Dr. Gapin Gapin has started this practice and you want to learn a little bit more, or you're interested in your peak program, either one of them, how do they find you? How do they reach out?
Thanks so much. Yeah, so if you go to gapininstitute.com, that's GAPIN institute.com/launch, LAUNCH, that'll give you a bunch of gifts. So I have a high-performance health handbook. I have an ultimate peptide guide, a digital copy of my best-selling book, Mel 2.0, a bunch of gifts I like to share. And for the doctors out there, you'll see, that's a funnel. That's how you lead people into your ecosystem, so then you can then share other information with them, and so use this as a teaching point as well. But if you go to that site, put in your information, and then you'll get all my freebies. And if you want to jump on a call with my team, there's information on that as well. Awesome. And any doctors out there, they'll connect you directly with me. So I'll be happy to jump on any call with a doc who's interested in learning more about that.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Gapin, I appreciate the time, man. It was great to see you, and I really, really appreciate what you're doing for the healthcare industry in general, and for all your patients and the other physicians. We really, really appreciate you. Much needed.
You got it. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you to the listening audience for tuning in. Please click subscribe below to be notified when we release our next podcast episode. Appreciate you guys.